Crochet time. Ta-ta! I know many of you, they knit. Some of you also crochet, and for those who don't do either of that, we start with a simpler thing, that is crochet. Crochet is easier to learn because you only have one needle to work with, except, with knitting you have two things and 10 fingers are involved. With crochet, it's really like one hand, one needle, and then the needle has a hook at the end, which is way easier to grab yarns and direct it through loops or wherever you want to go. So it is way simpler to learn. What you usually look into when you knit or crochet, that the needle is about the same thickness as your hook or your needle. So don't go too big on the hook or too small compared to the proportion to your yarn. So this is about a good size, I would say, It comes in sizes, so this says 4 millimeter, meaning that is 4 millimeter in diameter. So the thickness of the wire here. So the result of a crochet piece versus a knitted piece is a crochet piece is always a little more thicker and a little more firm. So if you want to knit something really thin and more delicate, you'd rather do a knitting than a crochet. For example, like I knitted that beanie kind of thing. So this is knitted, it's very thin, very delicate, lacy kind of, so it's easy to do in knitting. With crochet, you have more options when it comes to the shape of it, adding stitches or removing them. So, there are endless possibilities in both techniques, but in order to learn them, crochet is definitely easier. So I am doing it as a right-handed person because most of you are right-handed. So I have the yarn in my, like just laying on the table. The end is here, so I grab it and I use my left hand now. I put the yarn right here between my pinky and my ring finger. So then I go back between my middle finger and my index finger. And then I come around my index finger and wrap it around my thumb. So when you look at it from the top, it's almost like a figure 8 here. Then I grab that end with only with my pinky, or with pinky and ring finger, or with pinky, ring finger and my middle finger. It really depends how you like it. So my very first stitch will be just the beginning knot. And in order to do that, I go in with my crochet hook parallel to my thumb, and I go into that loop that I just created, that figure 8 loop. Because I hold the thread here with my fingers, it is kind of tight. So I go in with that, and then I look at it from this side, and I grab the yarn that wraps around my index finger. So I grab it with my hook, and I pull it through that loop around my thumb. So I have a knot. So this is basically my starter knot. So from that on, I do the same thing. I have my yarn between the pinky and my ring finger. I get it between my middle finger and my index finger, and then I wrap it around maybe twice. All this wrapping and going back and forth is to keep the yarn in a good tension, so it doesn't have a variety of loops. They should all be the same. So for every loop we create, we want to have the same tension. So that's why we have all this. So now we start with our chain stitch, and that is very easy. So it looks like that, and then I can just grab my little tail end here with my middle finger, index finger, pinky, and my thumb. I just hold on to that. So it is kind of straight, or I can hold the knot if you want. So then what I do with my right hand with the crochet hook, I grab this thread, and with the hook, you know, that is the nice thing about it. I just pull it through my little loop here. Then I grab that loop, do the same thing again. I grab it kind of like this and pull it through. I always move my fingers up. I grab another one, pull it through. Oops. And another and another. So you will realize if you have everything too tight, the pull through part gets really hard to do. So don't make it too tight. So every 2-3 stitches I kind of come back. And that way you can create a long chain, whatever you want to do. So it looks a little like a braid, you know, the braiding that we did with the embroidery threads. So it looks kind of similar. So if you have 10-15 stitches, so then I will show you the next stitch, because you cannot, I mean, you can of course continue like that for miles and miles and miles, but that will not really create a 3-dimensional or a 2-dimensional piece. So we want to have something that is a little wider, a little thicker, you know, something that we can use for another project. So that means, so this is my base, my chain stitch base is my first row. And on top of that, I will put, I mean, the 2 basic stitches I will show you, that is, one is the, what is it called in English? Oh God, I'm really not. One is the single crochet and the other one is a double crochet. So let's do the single one first. The single one, same thing, we always wrap the thread around our fingers the same way. So between the pinky and the index and the ring finger, we come from the back. We go to the back between the middle finger and the index finger, and then we wrap it around twice. So I hold my chain stitch, then I ignore the very first loop here and I look at it, I see, you know, the braids, so I use the second loop and I go right into that second loop here. So my crochet hook has a thread underneath and a thread above it. So I go into that loop, I grab my thread and I pull it through. Now I have 2 loops on my needle. So I grab my piece that I just made and then I also grab my thread again and pull it through both of them. So the next one, from my chain stitch row, I see the braid here. I go right in the middle of it. So I have 1 thread underneath and 1 on top. I grab my thread and pull it through that loop. Again, I have 2 loops on my needle and I make 1 of them. Again, I go into my braid in the middle. I grab my thread and then again 2 loops. I grab my thread again and create another one. So I do that until I'm at the end of the row again.
So persistent, So persistent, yeah. So persistent, yeah. That's right. So persistent, yeah. So persistent, yeah. So persistent, yeah.
It's always first you go through one, then you go through two. So you go through one, and then you go through two. You go through one, and then through two. And the last one, you go through one, and then through two. So now my result looks like that. You can see on top of it we also have the chain. So this is the top now, that's the bottom. So we have the chain, and we can use that as a design, you know, we can create a lot of different things. My name is Edith Schneider, and I am the German tailor. Not only because Schneider means tailor, and everything I teach comes with a German accent, but because I am a tailor and I am German. Created that YouTube channel that is mostly about textile art and design and garment construction and pattern making. So if you like what you see, please share, like, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.